morning. Welcome to the November 14th County Board meeting. Would you please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. First thing on the agenda is open forum. Mark Olson, you are first.
Okay. Mark Olson, Brainerd. I just wrote one thing down this morning when I was coming. A question for you, Mr. Houle. How's that double taxation on the city coming?
We have not heard back from the city, Mark. First, it's not double in the sense of someone is paying $1 to the city and $2 or another dollar to the county.
I get it. It's just a phrase.
Yes. I understand that it's on the agenda for the city on the 20th.
Okay.
I think the 20th.
I'll have to check with them then.
That's what I understand. I sent a letter back to the city. We got the letter from the city. I talked to the city administrator within a couple of days and talked about those options. We had not heard back, so I sent a letter last week, I believe, that laid out those options in writing and asked for the council to choose.
Good. Thank you very much for that.
21st, Teresa's telling me it's on the 21st.
At the
Okay.
Committee of the Whole.
Oh, it's on our agenda for the Committee of the Whole on the 21st. I'm expecting an answer from the city the previous night.
All right. I'll show up to that too. Then I have three other issues to address: the shortfall in the jail funding, the airport funding, and the HRA trust fund issue. I went to that budget meeting. It's a sad deal on the jail funding, but we, as you guys all know, we have over $100 million budget. As Mr. Houle indicated, it was 1% of the funding. But in the airport funding that I've spoke about numerous times, that's $158,000 that you guys could grab out of that. And then you have over $400,000 in the trust fund money. It's probably even a little bit more because what your tentative set on the HRA was 788, I think. But that, you could go down, but you can't go up. My recommendation, and it would be right for the taxpayers, is to totally defund that trust fund, as I said before, especially when they're giving over $1 million to an out-of-state developer. And I understand how the money has to move, but you do have a funding balance. You could take monies from your funding balance to cover that, and it was a great idea that the sheriff employees came up with, in my opinion, on trying to expand the jail to help that funding issue. So I just wanted to address those three issues: shortfall of the jail, the airport funding, and the HRA. Thank you.
Madam Chair, I know we normally don't respond to open forum, but I just want to say, Mark, the $400,000 and $157,000, and I might be reading this wrong, but you make it sound like we can take that money and we can use that for the shortfall that we're going to have with the jail situation. That's not the way it works.
That's not what I said.
That's not, okay, that's what I thought. Because if we defund the housing trust fund, then the taxpayers are just not paying that. We can't take that $400,000.
Correct. But what I said was, you have a trust, the county has a fund balance, okay?
Right.
It's a one big picture of over $100 million. So you aren't projecting that 157,000 onto taxpayers next year.
Correct.
You aren't projecting that 400,000 onto taxpayers. That's the issue. It's one big lump sum, as you
Yeah.
guys all know. You don't, I get it, you take money from here and here, but it's still tax money. So
Yeah.
I get what you're saying. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, next person who's signed a form for his open forum is Doug Curran.
Your mic on?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
on.
Yeah, good morning.
Morning.
There was a concern with the locations of the school board elections. I had a lot of people contacting me. I don't know how they were chosen for the Pequot Lake School District, but lots of people were contacting me asking where do we vote. And I directed them to the Secretary of State's website, which that'll tell you where. You know, we have the 2024 elections, now we're gearing up for that. And I still stand by as a former computer programmer. Whoever controls the input on these Dominion machines controls the output. And their concern has not gone away. You know, and hopefully there's a backup if the systems are proven to be faulty. And that's paper ballots. So, thank you.
Thank you. All right, next on the agenda is review and approve the minutes
Oh.
of the,
Anybody else?
is there anyone else?
Yes, speak.
Yeah, you'll have to state your name and address for the file.
Sorry, I came from Steele County 3 years ago, I just go to me, and we only just stated things.
Okay,
My name's Robert Grant, 7589 County Road 13, Nisswa. And we have some concerns as a neighborhood about a group home on 7948 County Road 13. And the police presence is there 2 or 3 times a week. And I talked to George at our town hall, and they didn't know anything about it. But we've got individuals running through people's backyard all the time, and the neighbors are concerned. And they asked me to speak. It hasn't come to my yard yet that I have seen on my cameras, but my neighbor next to me, one house down, has had the individuals running through his backyards. So we have some concerns about getting some information. That we're told that it's no threat, but when people are running through your backyard, you've got liability and everything else like that. So we'd like to know if there's any, how much liability insurance does this facility have to cover if damage is done? They get in our woods, and we've got a lot of evergreens catch it in the summertime and catch it on fire. And what is the trespass laws? Can we, if they come on our property, can we serve a trespass notice on them? And basically, we'd like to, we're going to go to the township meeting tonight, and we were hoping that maybe the sheriff or one of his representatives could speak about it at the township meeting, and I'd pass it on to the rest of the neighbors and tell them that they want to come.
I've been in contact with one of your neighbors, and he said he had passed on the information, but we have our community services director and our sheriff here, so I'm going to ask them to come forward and answer your questions.
All right.
Before you go, Mr. Grant, what was the address?
7589 County Road 13, Nisswa.
There is also one of these same group homes run by the same people on County Road 45. So,
But we felt that we should have been notified maybe that there was something coming into the neighborhood. When we see the police there 2 or 3 times a week and shining lights at night into people's yards, it throws up a red flag.
yeah,
And
these are state-run facilities, so we don't even get the information all the
Okay,
time.
well, we're concerned and we want to know about trespassing laws and stuff like that, and we were hoping, the rest of the people couldn't make it because they work, and so I'm retired, so they kind of,
Tag, you're it.
yeah, and Phil, the person you talked to, had another obligation today, so he asked me to come,
Okay,
so.
well, I'm going to ask the community service director and the sheriff to come up and answer your questions as well as he can.
We could sidebar that outside, that would be easy.
That'd probably be
Okay.
better.
And I'll
Get
join in
his
for a second.
information, yeah,
I want to get some information.
yep.
Tim, I'll send you the emails I've gotten to.
Madam
Okay.
Chair.
Name and address, please.
My name is Michael Marino, and I live at 16221 Sanctuary Way, Brainerd. I'd like to,
Madam Chair, I do think this is an agenda item.
Okay, if
okay.
it's on the agenda, then
okay,
we'll let you speak to it at that point.
Thank you.
Okay. Review and approval of the minutes from October 24th.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Lubke, second by Commissioner Coring. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Amend the minutes of May 9th.
Make the motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Barrows, second by Commissioner Coring. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Review and approve the agenda.
Madam Chair, we have to add the Highway Department to the agenda. I think Tim's going to give an update on progress on the road projects through the year, and then he has one other item that is escaping me right now.
Okay.
A letter of support for a federal grant, that's what it is.
Okay, we'll put him right after Land Services. All right, is there a motion to approve the agenda with the
Motion to
change?
approve with the change.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Coring, second by Commissioner Hoag. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Consent agenda.
Madam Chair, I have a couple items I would like to ask questions on the consent agenda, and one would be under 5.9 abatements, and the other one, I think, would be with the opiate funding allocation. So,
Okay, do you want those removed or just questions?
just questions. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, just questions asked on it.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Okay, on that abatement, on the abatement that you have listed there, let's see if I can get it up on my screen here. When you do disaster, and this is more of a question for me, you do a disaster abatement. What does that entail? What is a disaster abatement?
Good morning, Madam Chair, Commissioner Lubke. A disaster abatement is if someone has a fire or maybe a storm damage that their home was destroyed, 50% or greater, that the time that it's destroyed, the amount of time that it's destroyed, we actually abate the value of the building that was destroyed for those number of months that it was
Oh, okay.
unusable.
Okay, that's all I needed to know.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank
thank
you.
you very much. I've never heard it before.
Did you have another question,
I have a question for for Carrie Terry. In your packet, it showed there that we have an invoice that goes out to the United Way for, I can't remember, I got to get it on my sheet here. Get down on that item on the agenda unless you've got it up on the screen. There it is. Oh, you are good. You are
He's good.
He is good.
She is.
No, it's the one for United Way underneath that.
Keep going.
What is that for, can I ask? Because we're paying the United Way.
Yep, so currently, we share a person to help with our marketing and our communications related to Blade,
Okay.
Crowing Energized, and United Way. So the three entities are paying for a person's salary to do that work.
And
for
we're
us.
just reimbursing.
The United Way employs the person, and so we pay our portion of her work to the United Way.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah.
Good.
We don't have enough work to justify a singular position for each one of our agencies, so we were looking at ways to partner with existing organizations and sharing that position to help with our work.
Thank you. Madam Chair, one more question for as long as she's here. On this opiate machine that we're putting in, how do people pay for that then? You said there's a $121 per item or per
Per packet.
Per packet? Do they come in and do they run a credit card in the machine and get it out, or?
Nope, it'll be free.
They'll be free, okay. Who makes that determination, who gets it? Anybody who wants it?
Yes.
It is.
Anyone who would come into the jail to access the vending machine would be able to just, I don't know how it works. Schilling has been working with the vendor on that, but they would be able to come in, access the packets, which includes 2 doses, and then take them from our facility and use them,
Okay. And we're using our opiate dollars for that?
if you approve.
Okay, thank you.
And just to clarify, Madam Chair, opiate dollars are dollars that we've received through national settlements with opioid manufacturers after having been sued by attorney generals from across the state, or across the nation. So Crow Wing County participates in those settlements and receives, and I think will receive, a total of about $600,000 over the next 18 years.
2.5 million over the.
2.5 million. It's a
Yeah.
significant funding stream. That funding stream can only be used for harm reduction related to opioids or chemical addiction. So it is a fair sum of money that will be spent on harm reduction and trying to reduce the impacts of overdoses in our community using money that we are getting from the drug manufacturers and distributors.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm
And
sorry.
thank you
I
for
can
your-
speak to the amount that we've received thus far. I didn't put it in the packet because I had just received it yesterday. But as of today, we've received $556,624. We recently received, or we expect to receive a payment in July of '24 of $107,498. So to Tim's point, it's a substantial amount of money that we can utilize to help impact the opioid epidemic in our community.
Madam Chair, I have a question. Can you explain the vending machine a little bit more?
So I have never seen one. However, it's my understanding that it's very typical to like a candy vending machine or a soda vending machine. It'll be in the jail lobby, and it will dispense opioid or Narcan, the Narcan product in a packet that includes 2 doses. And so someone can come in who is in need of or thinks they may be in need of Narcan doses and get those out of the vending machine and then take them with them to wherever they might be. We have trained a number of our staff on administering Narcan in the event of them coming across someone in their caseloads or when they're on site visits to administer Narcan. There's also free training in the for the public who can be trained on the use of Narcan. This is a prevention strategy to help if someone is in overdose, to help keep them alive long enough for emergency personnel to get there and get them to the hospital.
Thank you.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, I had one if John's done. On 5.10, I think, Chris, that Wessler easement, my question would be is, because it appears we sold a parcel that this easement traveled through on the Wessler, is that right?
What happened, Madam Chair, Commissioner Hoag, what happened was we did a timber sale out there, and
Yeah.
it wasn't, we just didn't have it, it wasn't listed in our file of easements when we do that review. And so there was confusion over, once the harvest was done, where the actual easement was. It wasn't, when it was approved back previously, it wasn't surveyed in. It was basically just, there was a road, there's a, to travel there to get to it. And so all we did was we cleaned up the area, made that, and then we had county surveyors go out and survey in the actual easement this time. So we're just updating what was approved previously, but now having an actual legal description on that so that we know exactly where their easement is.
So is there any cost to the landowner? Okay.
No,
All right, that was.
no cost.
All right, perfect.
Thank you.
Any more questions?
Madam Chair, if there's no other questions, I would move to approve the consent agenda.
Is there a second?
I will second that, Madam Chair.
Motion by Commissioner Coring, second by Commissioner Lubke. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, land services.
morning.
Good morning.
We have a few items to present to you today. First item, 6.1 and 6.2 go together for the request. So the first item we have on 6.1 is a land use map amendment. This is over in up in the First Assessment District. It's located in both Section 26 and Section 27. This is north of County Road 77. The parcel numbers in question are 99260669. That is proposed to go from rural residential 10 to rural residential 2.5. Parcel number 99270719 from RR5 to RR2.5. Parcel number 99270720 from rural residential 10 to rural residential 2.5, and then parcel number 99270731 from rural residential 5 to RR 2.5, and finally parcel 99270732 from RR 10 and RR 5 to RR 2.5. And so these are the parcels in question here. That we're referring to. This is the Gull River here, so the shoreline district is 300 feet around that on both sides, and the request is for the remaining land outside of that. This is a lake, so there's a shoreline district comes through here. So areas outside the shoreline is proposed to go to R 2.5 for all of these parcels here, and that would be in support of, which would be the next item on the agenda, a preliminary plat of Sanctuary Ridge. So the Planning Commission and Board of Adjustment met on October 19th to consider this land use map amendment. The request is to change it to the different land use district as mentioned. They did hold a public hearing that night to consider all the facts and comments, and they unanimously recommended approval of the land use map amendment as requested according to the finding of fact on file. Staff have reviewed the file, the facts considered, and also recommend approval as submitted. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? Hearing none, do I have a motion?
Was there somebody that wanted to speak towards this or not?
Yeah, but I think he wants to.
I think he might want to talk more about the plat versus the rezone,
okay.
I believe, so.
All right, sorry.
So,
Madam Chair, I'll make the motion to approve the, where am I at here? I got to get down here. To amend the official land use map for the PIDs referenced by Mr. Pence for rural residential 10 and rural residential 5 to rural residential 2.5, involving approximately 80 acres.
is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Barrows, second by Commissioner Coring. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the preliminary plat of Sanctuary Ridge. This is the plat I referred to in the first application for the land use map amendment. What you have before you today is the preliminary plat of it's a conservation development and regular lot and plot block of Sanctuary Ridge, which has 38 lots consisting of 15 individual lots for the plat of Sanctuary Ridge and 19 individual lots for the residential dwellings and a conservation development and 4 outlots. The Planning Commission did hold a meeting on this October 19th to consider the plat of Sanctuary Ridge. They held a public hearing, considered all the facts and comments that were submitted, and unanimously recommended approval of the preliminary plat with 2 conditions being that the cul-de-sac off of Sanctuary Court shall have no more than 3 access points, and then the road named Sanctuary Court referenced in condition 1 must be renamed for the final plat as the county already has the record of an existing Sanctuary Court in the plat itself, so that Sanctuary Court needs to be, there will be a new name for that before it comes back to you for final plat approval. So the Planning Commission did recommend approval of this with those 2 conditions as requested according to the findings of fact that are on file with Land Services. Staff have reviewed the file, the facts considered, and also recommend approval. So if you'll remember, I think probably 7 years ago, we did a plat down here. This is Miles Circle is over here. This is County Road 77 here. This is Miles Circle. And so we have the plat here of the sanctuary in this area. And you can see that here. It comes up when there's lots in here. What you have before you today is this plat of Sanctuary Ridge. This is the conservation design portion of it, as I mentioned. And then these are the standard lot and blocks that you see here. This is referring here to the number of access points that the highway department wants to come off of this road here called Sanctuary Court, but will need to be renamed for final plat. And then this is the road that will be used to provide access to these homes here. This is a 66-foot wide access point. If there's ever to be a future development of Outlot C, that's what this area here is for. And then the areas that you see that are all hashed out here in the gray, they are the common open space for the actual conservation part of this plat. And what you'll see is, as you come along here, it's about the shoreline district for the Gull River is 300 feet. And so they're definitely outside of that district. Up here, definitely being 300 feet. Down here, it's closer to probably 200 feet. But any septic systems that'll be put in for this will all be will not be located in this common open area. And so, from a layout, I think it makes sense. And from how it lays out, because this was when the sanctuary was originally planned, this was a future plat that they were planning on developing, and that's what they're proposing to do at this point. And so, as I mentioned before, it meets the ordinance requirements. All the findings of fact are on file. The Planning Commission did recommend approval, and staff recommend approval as well. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Madam Chair, may I ask a question?
Yes.
So I'm just trying to rack my brain. So Miles Circle goes off of where's 77?
77 is, you know, is there, can we go to more of a site map, Therese?
I can't see that little thing that you're pointing up there.
Paul?
You have a
Shows
page
it on
number or
Oh.
like this?
You got a map there.
I think we could,
This is Miles Circle.
I don't know which page the map would be on, I'm sorry.
So just remind me, didn't just a few years ago, the county board approved the right past Miles Circle?
Correct.
So this is just an expansion of that, and then I think the county board, along with our good county engineer,
Yeah, perfect, thank you.
we put a condition that they have a turning lane in there too, didn't we?
Yes.
We had that discussion.
I believe so.
Yeah, everybody's shaking
So
their head, yes.
maybe this would be a better thing for you to look at, Commissioner Corning. This is Miles Circle, as you referenced here. This is 77 here to the south of Pine Beach Road. And so this is sanctuary, the sanctuary here, the plat, where they had a conservation design here. Then they had these lot and blocks. And then Sanctuary Lane here was platted as part of that for the purpose of providing access to these lots here for a future development.
So Sanctuary Way is just an expansion of the first section, and they're still going to come off the same road that's there off of 77, correct?
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
Exactly.
Well, I don't see any issue with that then. The naming of the road, are we naming the road today, or?
No, that'll come back as
do that. We're not
Coring
gonna
Coring
call it
Lane?
Paul.
No, that'll come back as final plat.
I just thought if you were
Rosemary
looking
Lane.
for a name, I could.
I was thinking Rosemary Lane.
Not today.
In your
Not today.
district.
We'll bring that back at final plat for you.
Madam Chair, unless there's anything else, I don't know that I see any
I
issue
believe
with.
Mr. Marino is.
One in the
okay.
audience. Yeah, please.
Sorry, I was out of order earlier. This is all brand new to me, but thank you for your time. I'd like to just begin by saying, in my first experiences engaging different county people in offices, I've found everyone, Commissioner Franzen, to be very available and open, and Tim Bray and his staff, Rob Hall and Matt, they have been very kind and helpful and patient as I've had various questions. So thank you so much for that. I am here to just again say there are two possibilities to enter this new development called the Sanctuary Ridge. One entrance would be a dedicated and, in my humble opinion, a safer entrance into the Sanctuary Ridge. The other proposition, using Sanctuary Way, really repurposes both Sanctuary Way and Sanctuary Lane to become the primary entrance to Sanctuary Ridge. And the choice increases safety concerns for all travelers due to the unregulated speed limit and unmarked intersection at Sanctuary Way and Sanctuary Lane. Oh, thank you. There's my drawing. And so just consider with me for a minute what's wrong with this picture. Sanctuary is defined as a place of refuge and safety. My neighbors and I live in a neighborhood called The Sanctuary. We drive on the only roadway into the sanctuary called Sanctuary Way. So as with other weekends, this weekend was the same. Children on Sanctuary Way, playing, elderly couples walking. As a homeowner, when I turn on Sanctuary Way, I know these conditions exist. And so I automatically slow down. I don't need to go 55 to get home because Sanctuary Way is designed for the small number of homeowners living in the sanctuary. There's no speed limit sign on Sanctuary Way, no stop sign on Sanctuary Lane, because the conditions today do not warrant these added safety measures. But as you can understand, all this will change dramatically when you add traffic counts multiplied into the hundreds daily by new travelers driving, by the way, almost a mile just to get across the highway line to home. Travelers can drive 55 to make that trip over to the Sanctuary Ridge. Please consider that these new safety concerns could be avoided if the developer used a different entrance that is available already on land that they own. The county, of course, cannot require the developer to use their property to build a dedicated roadway into Sanctuary Ridge. The county could require a third-party traffic study, but I've learned in conversations that they can't require this from the developer to use their private property for this purpose. And it's already been established that hundreds of new daily traffic counts will be generated by the Sanctuary Ridge travelers. Therefore, the county's required the developer to pay 75% of the costs for a bypass on County 77. Why? To ensure safer conditions for the traveler, and I agree. This is common sense. So I'll end with this. I understand that the county board has the authority to erect speed limit and stop signs as conditions change and warrant new safety measures on roadways. If the developer and county choose not to pursue a dedicated and safer entrance into the Sanctuary Ridge development, then at the very least, the county board should require the developer to pay 75% of the cost to erect a lighted, flashing, digital speed limit sign on Sanctuary Way. There are hundreds of more traffic counts that are going to occur with people that want to go from point A off of County 77 all the way through the sanctuary, across the Highline Wire, and into the Sanctuary Ridge development. I think the developer should also be required to pay 75% of the cost to erect a stop sign at the corner of Sanctuary Lane and Sanctuary Way. These also seem to be common sense safety measures. These are reasonable safety measures, and I stress consistent with the changing conditions for safe travel on Sanctuary Way and Sanctuary Lane, and equally consistent with the changing conditions for safe travel on County 77, that a new bypass has been planned to account for. Really, why would you choose needed safety measures for County 77 and not for Sanctuary Way and Sanctuary Lane? Thank you, Commissioners, for your time and careful consideration and service.
Madam Chair, before the gentleman steps away, I just got to wrap my head around what you're proposing here, and hopefully I can be as kind and gentle as everybody else, because I'm not necessarily that way. I'm pretty rough around the edges. But so if I can understand what you're proposing here, if I remember correctly, just a few years ago, when they put in the sanctuary, and on the right-hand side, that's where the road goes in existing.
Yes.
So what you're proposing, are you proposing to block off that road, and then the developer have to, on the left, put in a whole new road to access the back part of this new development? Is that what you're proposing?
No, I would not propose that Sanctuary Way be blocked off. That's the only entrance into the sanctuary.
Right.
But what I am suggesting is the developer owns this property where I've drawn the blue lines up. There's already an existing ATV trail there. I'm not a road engineer, but I know there's complications to make that happen. I'm just simply saying there is a second possibility for a dedicated and a roadway that does not have an unregulated intersection, and a roadway that people can drive 55, because that's what they're likely to do. They'll turn off of County 77, where they've been driving 55, and then they got to make it from the county road all the way across to go to the next development. This would become a dedicated roadway, the Sanctuary Ridge Road, to serve the Sanctuary Ridge development.
Well, I guess I don't know, that doesn't make any sense to me, because I think we want to have as few of accesses into a road as possible. They've already got an access road. The developers already put the road in. Now you're asking them to put another whole road in here, brand new road, and we've got another access onto our county road, which more accesses means more accidents, I think. So I don't know. I just don't know that I agree with you.
Sure.
You're just concerned that people that are driving up this road now are going to be going by your place fast, and you just don't want the traffic? Is that what it is?
I do believe that there is an established safety concern. Otherwise, the county wouldn't be requiring the developer to pay 75% of the cost of a bypass lane on County 77. And so what I'm suggesting is that if there is that established safety measure needed on County 77, when those people turn left on the Sanctuary Way, that safety concern doesn't disappear all of a sudden. You have those same hundreds of traffic counts multiplied now using Sanctuary Way. So the roadway right now as it exists today is Sanctuary Way, and then you turn left on Sanctuary Lane, and it stops at the Highline Wire. So there is added expenses and road building that will take place to extend it to the Sanctuary Ridge development. That hasn't been completed yet. It's still proposed. And I'm just merely saying, if you're going to already spend that money, and you're also spending the money on that other access point that goes to outlot, I can't remember, is it B? That's unknown, undefined. Nonetheless, money is being spent to develop this roadway to nowhere. There is money already being spent that could be spent to build a dedicated roadway to Sanctuary Ridge Development.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, thank you for your questions.
I'd like to
I'm
hear.
going to ask, Tim, Rob, I have all had several conversations with Mr. Marino. Could you please come up and kind of explain to the rest of the group
Yeah,
what's
I'm not
been-
understanding anything at all, really. here.
That's why I'd like Tim to come
Okay,
up and
yeah.
explain.
Madam Chair, Commissioners, thank you for asking. I'm not sure exactly what you'd like me to clarify. There's a lot to unbundle there. I think talking about our recommendation for a bypass lane, we do recognize that there'll be an increased amount of conflict. It certainly is going to. The proposed development will generate more traffic. And one of the ways that we mitigate that, not only on 77, but other parts of the county, is to provide auxiliary lanes. When Mr. Ranweiler and that group developed the very first part of this Sanctuary Way that you see there, we required a right turn lane to come in, and they built that. And I'm not sure if we had our current cost participation in place or not, but it currently stands at 75% is paid by the developer and 25% by the county. So now recognizing that the development will generate even more traffic, we're adding the requirement for a bypass lane to accommodate or to mitigate some of the conflict that could happen with the increased traffic. So it's the conflict of people turning left from the west onto Sanctuary Way and then up into the rest of the development, as it is a conflicting with the normal traffic of 77. So it is true, we did recognize that there'll be an increased amount of conflict, and this is how we commonly address development that's generating a lot of traffic. There are some other options that we considered, and one of them was a left turn lane. Sometimes you can get to a point where there's so much traffic that we must protect it with a left turn lane, so it's a little bit more protective than a bypass lane. It's a dedicated left. When we reviewed this plat, we didn't feel it had reached that point yet, to the point where we would require the developer to spend 75% of $200,000 or $250,000 to build that. We have demonstrated at the Highway Department that if these do develop into problems, that we address them. Just a couple years ago, we sought and received federal money to improve a number of them that were not functioning very well around the county. The one that you most be familiar with might be Executive Acres on County Road 3. So we feel that the bypass lane will handle the traffic right now, and we will address it, just like Mr. Marino said, that we should be able to, if the conditions change, to address them. To his point about the stop sign at Sanctuary Lane and Sanctuary Way, we will take that under consideration. It doesn't warrant it right now, but we anticipate that it probably will. We would not ask the developer necessarily to pay that. 75% of that would be something we would do if it is our roadways. With regard to the speed limit, I've had several conversations with Mr. Marino on the phone, in person, and then via email about how speed limits are assigned on township level roads like this one. And the state statute allows for the county board, or the township board in this particular case, to set speed limits if certain criteria are met, and they're right there in statute. 169.14 and 169.011 are the statute and the definitions that are contained in the other statute. And
It currently does not meet the standard for you to have the authority to do that. If conditions change, we're committed to doing that. And so just like when the conditions change that warrant a stop sign, we will address that. And if conditions warrant and meet the criteria established by statute very clearly, we will also address the speed limit. Until then, you do not have the authority to do that. And so I'm not recommending that you deviate from those standards that are in statute.
Okay. So, Madam Chair, just a question. So I think I know when you say a bypass lane, so now if I'm coming, let's say I'm coming from Craigan's and I'm on 77 and I want to turn on this road and take a left, I stop and I've got my signal on, and the traffic that's coming behind me, by law, they can't cross the fog line to go around me now, correct? But then a bypass lane that goes around, then they have the right to go around me when I'm sitting there waiting for the traffic coming from the east to get by so I can turn in. Okay.
It's essentially using the shoulder. Legal use of the shoulder.
Correct.
We widen out there.
Hey, I
So
understand.
we've all heard about the illegal use. We actually sign it, stripe it, and make sure that the pavement structure can handle traffic to legally bypass on the right. That's what we call a bypass lane.
Yeah. Okay. I guess I don't have any other questions, at least right now.
Are there any other questions from anyone for either Chris or Tim?
So just remind me where we're at here. I just kind of have forgot where we're.
Madam Chair, you are considering the preliminary plat of Sanctuary Ridge. It's item 6.2 in your packet from the Rand Property Group LLC.
And Madam Chair and Mr. Hool, that has the bypass lane in there?
Yes?
Yes?
Is the bypass lane included as part of the recommendations?
Recommendation we made, I'm not sure what
It didn't make it in from the planning commission. The approved conditions were the access points off of Sanctuary Court and then to rename Sanctuary Court for final plat. So it did not get listed in the actual final action taken by the planning commission, but the board definitely has the ability to include that in a motion to require the bypass lane.
So, Madam Chair, if there's no other questions before the county board or any other comments, I would move 6.2, the adoption by the county board of the preliminary plat of Sanctuary Ridge with the addition of the highway recommendations for a bypass lane on the south side of 77. Does that work?
Yep.
Yes, yes it does.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Coring, second by Commissioner Hoag. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay.
Next item on the agenda, 6.3, is to consider the preliminary plat of Hagen's Landing. This is located in Section 31 of Fairfield Township. The parcel is 603-10512. And this has two individual lots for the plat and including one outlot. If we could look at the survey real quick. There we go. So this is to the south. This is Adney Lake here. This is Adney Lane coming in. Greer Lake is here. Up, if you go way up top, you have County Road 36, and then you come down Fairfield Township Road 114. Will then come down to gain access here to that, and then you can come down to get access into the lot. But the lots in question are right here. So you have this is block 1. So you have this lot here, and this is lot 1. This is lot 2, and there's an outlot to the north of Greer Lake Road. And so the zoning to the north of this is actually RR5. And the size of this is 4.81, if I remember correctly. Let me grab my own survey here so I can. So that, the reason that was platted as an outlot is because it does not meet the standards of the 5-acre zoning, and so to any future development or use of this lot would require a variance from the Planning Commission Board of Adjustment. It's 0.19 acres short of making 5 acres, so we wouldn't anticipate there being any issues with receiving a variance for that, but that was the way it was platted, just because of the remaining land on the north side here of Greer Lake Road. The Planning Commission met again October 19th to consider where did I put my paperwork? There it is. To consider the plat of Hagen's Landing. They held a public hearing. They considered all the facts and comments and made a unanimous recommendation to approve the preliminary plat of Hagen's Landing as submitted according to the finding of fact on file. Staff have also reviewed the file, the facts considered, and also recommend approval as submitted.
Any questions?
Nope. Madam Chair.
The other,
Please come forward to the microphone, state your name and address for the record.
Denise Olson, 32829 780th Avenue, Ellendale, Minnesota, 56026.
Thank you.
I just have a question regarding the term preliminary. So does that mean there's room for tweaking at a later date, or is like, if you approve this today, is it a done deal?
Madam Chair, Commissioners, a preliminary plat is really the official approval of the plat as it's laid out today. The final plat consideration is if there's any conditions warranted that were placed by the Planning Commission or the Board of Adjustment, there needs to be title commitments and any declarations and covenants, and that would become forth as a final plat, and that's when you have like the Mylars are approved and the document, the plat itself gets ready for recording and that. So what is approved today is what would be approved as the final plat with just the other additions needed to finish the process.
Do you have anything else, ma'am?
Does that make any sense?
No.
So I guess the plat that you see today is what will come forth for final plat. The way it lays out today would be the final plat. So there's, once it's been approved by the county board, it is that what you see on the plat today would come back. Any modifications to that plat would have to come back to the Planning Commission again and go through that public hearing process to come back to the county board again. So this today would be what would be the final plat with the other details that need to be submitted, like I mentioned, covenants, declarations, title commitment, those sort of activities. The Mylars get printed off for official signing by to make it an official approved plat. So what you see today with this is what it would be for final plat, in essence.
So when I spoke with you earlier, you said something about 60 days. I mean, where is this sitting at in the 60 days?
So, Madam Chair, Commissioners, anytime we have a zoning request put before us, we have to follow Minnesota Statutes 1599, and what that requires is that we make a decision within 60 days of receiving the application. We have extended the 60 days on this one because we're coming up close to meeting that threshold. So we would have approximately another 60 days to make a decision, or the applicant could choose to give us extend it beyond that further if they so chose, to provide more time for reconsideration or decision-making on the plat. So we definitely have time to do something. And I think the concern, as we spoke at the counter today, is the fact that outlot is at 4.81 acres and would require, in essence, a variance for future use. And I think there's concerns that if the plat gets approved today, that how that would impact the future variance application for that. Did I capture that correctly?
Yes,
Yeah,
that's
okay.
a big part of it, but it's a family thing, so.
Family can be tough.
Yeah.
So your
you know,
concern is about.
This is the first I've gotten what it actually looks like.
So-
And it should have been, my sibling should have provided me what he was proposing. And so I just.
We hear that once in a while.
Yeah, so.
So your concern is about Outlot A?
Outlot A, and I'm not necessarily pleased with how he's done everything else. That I'd like to see a couple lines moved, but
Okay.
that's why I'm asking if preliminary? I
Yep.
mean, is there a chance to come back and?
It's helpful for us to just understand what your issue is, because then we can figure out whether we can give you a good answer. Today is really the day when, if you want lines moved on a map, you should be telling county board members today. And if they decide that they agree with you, I think their option is to reject the plat. Not to move the lines, we don't get to move the lines, just to reject the plat. So you understand, and I need you to understand, what you would be asking them to do is reject the plat. Okay?
Is there the option to postpone?
Yes, they could also table for a while if they wish. Typically, you table for a purpose. So are you going to put it on the table and leave it there and let it die? We can't, because 60 days expires and it will automatically be approved if we take no action.
So I guess my question would be, if you tabled it till your next meeting, giving me an opportunity to review this with my siblings and clear some family.
That's up to you.
I mean, I know it's not your problem.
May I ask a question to the lady? So why, when there was a public hearing at the planning commission, were you not there then to raise
I
these?
didn't know this was happening, so.
She lives in Ellendale.
I live in southern Minnesota,
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
I got up at 3 o'clock this morning.
But are you, okay, so are you a property owner in this? In this?
Yes.
Somebody's shaking their head, yes.
So,
And so if you're a property owner, wouldn't you have been informed when there's going to be a meeting on this?
so,
It's a it's a multiple owners of the property, so I
so
don't know where notice goes.
we have,
Notice doesn't go to every,
yeah, we have owners listed as a Dan Hagan, a Don Hagan, a David Hagan, and an Eric Olson, are who we have listed as property owners.
But then whoever's moving forward with this plat, we didn't require that the other owners don't even know.
We have an authorized agent form that allowed, I can't remember, David to be the authorized agent for the project. And so when we did that, then
he designated himself.
yeah.
He
So
what?
that was
He
who.
designated himself.
Can you move closer to the mic? I can't hear you.
David Hagan designated himself.
So you didn't know?
I didn't know that it had come this far, yes. Until I got, yeah. Again, not that I want to throw a monkey wrench in it, and I know there's been a lot of work put into it.
Well, what would you like to see changed? What do you want to see changed? Can you tell us today what you want to be
Okay.
changed, or do you just want to put a halt to it?
Well, I see, when I was informed not too long ago about this happening, I was informed that Outlot A would be developable. I can't pronounce that correctly. And that I was also informed that it was required by county that it be that 10 acres, total 10 acres for him to subdivide and build. And it's not my understanding today.
So, Madam Chair, can I ask another question? So this development, so you are not going to, as one of the owners, will you own a specific lot, or are you going to reap the benefits when this development is sold off?
Oh, so this is family, and it's not going to be sold to anybody.
Okay.
My understanding is one of the owners would like to build. And so versus to be able to build, he needs to have the land in his name solely. So he had the survey done so that he could have a portion that then we could deed back to him so that he could be the sole owner so he could build. There's no intent to develop or sell it. It's just, you went through the trouble of, making 3 lots out of what was one. So, you went from 1 tax to 3 taxes.
But there's going to be Madam Chair, there's going to be lots here. So then will each one of the loaners or owners have an individual lot? Or will you as
That's what's up in question.
Well, I don't think we can solve that.
I know. But that's, I need, time. I didn't even see this plat, what it was, until this morning when I stopped in the land service office. And so, yeah, so there's 4 siblings, and one wants to build. So otherwise it would stay as one big family lot. So that's the whole purpose of this, is the one that presented this wants to build.
Well, Madam Chair, it almost sounds like it's a family
Yeah, it is.
issue that we can't solve your family's
Right,
problems.
right.
All
That's why I'm saying,
we're
asking you
looking
for
at is
input.
whether we agree or disagree with the preliminary plat that's before us. Am I right or wrong, or can you help me?
Yeah, your choice is approve the plat, say no to the plat, or I think what she's asking, table the plat until the next meeting so she has a time to visit with her siblings.
Yeah, I just need time.
I think that's what she's asking
I
for,
just
is
need
table
time.
it. But
I'm not asking you to solve the problems.
I also want to say, according to our records, we show Dan, Don, David, Hagan, and Eric Olson. If you're not one of those 4,
Correct.
then we would need to see some proof of ownership before we could attach that significance to your position.
To table it?
No, we can still table it. If you table it, that's what you're at. I think that's what you would be after is, who owns the dang thing?
Is the gentleman here that came forward with
No,
the...
he's down in Dodge Center working. Don is in Austin working.
Mark Olson, is this any relation to you? No. Can you resolve this?
Well,
Well, those are really your choices.
Eric Olson's my son. So if that helps.
Approve.
But yeah.
Deny, table.
Can you pull up the request for board action? Do you want to table it?
Madam Chair, if there's no other discussion, I would make the motion to table until the next county board meeting.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Barrows, second by Commissioner Coring.
Madam Chair, a question for Chris. Will that run us amok of the 60-day rule in any way?
I think we'll make it.
Okay.
I think we'll make it, but we'll have to reach out to the applicant and have them provide us a written extension to make sure that we don't run into the automatic approval.
Are you,
for that.
Madam Chair, are you sure that we're not going to bump up against that?
Yeah, I did talk with Nicole in the office and I asked her where we're at, and she said we have sent them the 60-day notice to extend we can, at a county level, we can extend it 1 60-day, and we've done that. So I think that we have that time in there we're not going to bump up against it, but we'll ask them to give us some more, to extend beyond even that, so that if we do have that time to discuss or there's more application, we'll make sure we get that from the applicant.
And then, Madam Chair, what I would suggest is, Chris, see what you can figure out working with this young lady about what that ownership stake is, tabled to the next county board meeting. And what you need to understand, we bump against these statutory requirements. What they're giving you is 2 weeks to work it out with your siblings. And if you can't, they're going to act.
I'll
Totally
make a
understand.
motion to approve it next time. So I hope you can get whatever you have to
Oh,
ironed
yeah.
out. Thanks.
Thank you.
Oh, we got to vote on that, I guess.
Yes.
And that was a non-debatable motion. Okay.
So you shouldn't have been debating.
Pardon me?
Way to go, Paul. Way
Yeah,
to go.
sorry.
Thank you for showing me how to do this.
Yes.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Barrows, second by Commissioner Coring. All those in favor of
Aye.
tabling?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you for your time.
All right, we'll move on to the next item. We have another plat to review called the Plat of Kenny Shores. This is located in Section 2 of Garrison Township. Parcel number is 67020544. This is 2 individual lots, again, in the plat of Kenny Shores. The Planning Commission did meet October 19th to consider this preliminary plat, and the They held a public hearing, considered all the facts and comments, and unanimously recommended approval of the preliminary plat of County Shores as requested. According to the finding of fact on file, there were no conditions placed on this preliminary recommendation. Staff have reviewed the file as well, the facts considered, and recommend approval as submitted. So what you see here is you've basically got, this over here is State Highway 18, and this is Kenny Lake, and you've got this lot here, and then the larger lot is the remainder. It's a pretty simple one. This was actually done as an administrative subdivision. They just missed getting it recorded in time, and so then they had to go back and come through and now plat it. So this is a pretty simple one, and I don't believe we have any issues with about this plat. So I'd recommend approval as submitted.
Anybody here to speak on this?
There isn't anybody here.
Okay. Madam Chair, if there's nobody in the audience to speak on this plat, I would move that the County Board of Commissioners approve the preliminary plat of the Kenny, Kenney Shores.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Coring, second by Commissioner Hoag. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. Next, we have the preliminary plat and final plat of Campbell Acres. This will take two separate motions, and so the first action will be to approve the preliminary plat of Campbell Acres. This is located in Section 36 of Lake Edward Township. Parcel number is 733605512. This is a total of 2 lots on Campbell Lake. So just to give you an idea, this is Campbell Lake up here. You have this lot here, and then you have the remainder. Access is off of Sorensen Lake Road. Then there's access, there's a wetland here, but there's enough access on both sides to provide access to get to the parcels in question. The Planning Commission Board of Adjustment did meet on October 19th to consider the preliminary plat of Campbell Acres. They held a public hearing, considered all the facts and comments submitted, and unanimously recommended to the county board that the preliminary plat of Campbell Acres be approved according to the finding of fact on file. Staff have also reviewed the file, the facts considered, and also recommend approval. Be happy to answer any questions.
Does anyone have any questions?
Madam Chair, if there's nobody in the audience or no questions from the county board, I would move that the County Board of Commissioners of Crow Wing County approve the preliminary plat of Campbell Acres as it's presented in our board packet.
Is there a second?
I'll second it. I thought I heard a second down here.
Okay. Motion by Commissioner Coring, second by Commissioner Hoag. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. Next up is the consideration of that same request. Again, this is Section 36 of Lake Edward Township, parcel number 733605512. I hate to go through this again, but just have to have it clear for the record. The Planning Commission did meet on October 19th to consider the preliminary plat, and then it was approved at the county board today. All the finding of fact and are on file, all the comments received, and staff have reviewed the file. They've reviewed the facts and considered it, all that was submitted, and recommend approval of the final plat today of Campbell Acres.
Madam Chair, if there's no questions from the audience and none from the county board, I would so move that the Crow Wing County Board of County Commissioners approve the final plat of Campbell Acres as it's presented as a board request in our packet.
Second.
Okay, motions again by Commissioner Coring and Commissioner Hoag. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
One more item. I promise this is it. This is a request for a land use map amendment in Section 24 of Ideal Township. The parcel number in question is 68240554. The request is to change the parcel district from rural residential 2.5 to rural residential 1. Ideal Township has reviewed this and did submit a recommendation of approval. Could we go to the site map? Where's the little, that one, yep.
This one?
Yep, so what we have here is that we have some encroachment here, and this parcel here is 2.69 acres, and so they need to move some property lines around to just get everything on the same spot, and so they needed to get down to that 1 acre zoning to make that happen. The Planning Commission did meet on this on October 19th to consider the land use map amendment from RR 2.5 to RR 1. They held a public hearing and they considered all the facts and comments that were submitted and unanimously recommended approval as requested according to the finding of fact on file. Staff have also reviewed the file, the facts considered, and also recommend approval as submitted.
Any questions for Chris? Hearing none, do we have a motion?
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the land use map amendment for the Russell Pincus.
Is there a
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Lubke, second by Commissioner Barrows. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next on the agenda is our county engineer.
Pull up a chair.
Oh, pull up a chair. Madam Chair and Commissioners, I have 2 items. The first one is an update on our construction season that wrapped up actually about a month ago. We're still working on some final paperwork with our contractors. And then the second thing I'll have is a late request from a MnDOT representative to offer a letter of support for a grant that they're planning to go after. So I'll start with the construction wrap up. I had hoped to have our new engineering manager, Steve Stroshine, here today to present this to you. Of course, he was the one that provided much of the oversight for the day-to-day activities during our construction season. He, of course, replaced Mark Melby, who is a longtime employee and did a fantastic job. And I can tell you that Steve did a lot of fast learning this summer and has done a fantastic job. I also want to really recognize, before I get into the details of what we delivered this year, really just a shout out to the staff, because this is what I do. I stand and talk to you and communicate with, but a lot of the daily decisions and the design stuff is really done by an excellent team. You know, Rob Hall, Steve Stroshine, Ted Doolum, Wayne Dosh, Brian Wisniewski, Daria Galtman, she's our brand new graduate engineer and really hit the ground running. We're really pleased with her progress. And Dosh, Justin Larson, Jordan Larson, and of course our partners at NISWA and Baxter and MnDOT. We have a lot of partners in townships and cities. We do a lot of work together this year. I want to recognize them because we couldn't do what we do without them. So as you know, I'll start with 4 roundabouts this year. We installed 4 roundabouts, 2 ourselves and 2 with our partners at Baxter and NISWA. Of course, one was in front of Grandview, which was NISWA. We connected Cypress Drive on 48 this year with the city of Baxter taking the lead. And we built one south of Cross Lake at the intersection of 3 and 11, which is a much needed improvement, and we're hearing a lot of really good feedback. And then we also partnered with MnDOT over in Crosby and installed a roundabout on the Trunk Highway, the first roundabout on the Trunk Highway in Crow Wing County. And that was a couple-year collaborative effort to really react and mitigate the traffic impacts that we saw coming with a new grocery store that relocated out on the east side of town. So 4 roundabouts we put in the ground. We're very proud of that. We had designed 2 of them in-house too, and that's quite the feat. We did 2 bridges, primarily they're box culverts, not the what I call no-kidding bridges with the piles and all that stuff. These are box culverts up in the 2nd Assessment District on Dean Lake Road, and then on CASA 22, Canyon Creek. We did those late in the season. We did 2 safety improvements, one at Bass Lake Road. This is one that came out of the Planning and Zoning Board at Bass Lake at near Clow. We reinstalled a right turn lane that was taken out to accommodate some other turning movements for Clow itself. And then also we did a nice improvement at the intersection of Wise Road and 77 where we installed a newer technology in the traffic signals, the flashing yellow, the permissive left, which has really helped traffic operations at that intersection, busy intersection with State Highway. We, of course, put all the pavement markings down, which is about 3 million linear feet every year that we put down. We did 36 miles of seal coats. So this is the aggregate with oil on top that helps kind of seal the cracks and buys us a number of years on the back end of our roadways. And we're really aggressive with that. 28 miles of resurfacing, and these are the ones that are really affecting our RQI and trying to get on top of those deferment miles. CASA 1, 3, 4, 5, 29, 49, which is Wise Road 77, between the new roundabout and 371. And then County Road 145, and then several in the First Assessment District. And then, of course, our big project, the crown jewel for the last 10 years, County Road 115. We did about 3.4 of the 5 miles that that project encompasses. We actually, because of a good construction year, good partnerships with our contractor, we actually got a mile further than we anticipated. While at the same time being very accommodating to the residents out there. I don't think that we've ever got as many positive comments as we have from residents who used to be not so positive, coming out, visiting with our contractor and our staff to say what a great job we're doing. And if you haven't been out there, I encourage you. We now have it complete, with the exception of some landscaping we'll do this year, up past 127 north of the creek. And we're really proud of that. And I think people can now see the vision that was so hard to see several years ago. And then along the way, primarily with seal coating and paving projects, we partnered with 11 local jurisdictions and together helped them. That was $1.1 million of construction that they latched onto our projects and got the benefit of economy of scale savings. So it's always cheaper to do, be part of a 10-mile project than a township doing a standalone 1 mile. The costs are going to be substantially different. And so they spent $1.1 million. I'm not sure exactly how much money they saved, but we certainly saved them, those small cities and townships, a lot of money. So that's really the wrap up. We're really moving right into next year, this year, or today, when you approved the consent calendar, you approved the ability for us to start bidding for the projects for 2024. So there's no rest for the wicked. We're in the office now designing the projects for next year. We have 2 roundabouts on the docket for next year. There's some design going on with that, both in-house and then with some consultant partners. And again, I just want to say that we cannot do it with the staff and the support from the board on how we're able to run our operation and the flexibility to just really roll with the punches with some of these projects. So I'll stand for any questions if you have any.
Madam Chair, don't have a question, just a comment. I know that Commissioner Barrows is usually the thank you, the guy that does the thank yous here, but I'm going to do the thank yous today on this because there's been some work done down in my area, and I just want to say that on County Road 22, that there's a lot of my constituents that travel on, and so it was closed for, I don't know if it was about 3 weeks or so or something like that, and it's close to my house, so I traveled down there on my golf cart. And I had conversations several times with Wayne Dosh, and I will say that what a great county employee he is. He is super knowledgeable when it comes to bridges, and as you know, I have a gazillion questions, so he stood there and answered questions until I was all out of questions, so I really appreciated Wayne. He is a wealth of knowledge. I'm still amazed that you can run your operation with, I think you're at either 38 or 39 people.
You had authorized me to go to 39 this year, or 38 this year. So.
38 people to do 600 plus miles of road, I think is incredible. And I will say that the sales tax, which I was all in favor of.
Geez, not again.
But I will say that I can remember, not to diss on Morrison County, but at one time, Morrison County's roads were, a lot of them were really new, and you could tell when you went from Crow Wing County into Morrison County, and you know this, Tim Hool, because you were the county administrator down there, you could tell, and a lot of people would say, Crow Wing County, they'd diss on Crow Wing County because the roads seemed like they were much better in Morrison County, and I can tell you, from my experience of going down, you can tell now when you leave Crow Wing County and you go into Morrison County, there is a huge difference, and it's in reverse now. And I think that's solely because of the sales tax, where we have a lot of our guests that come here and are spending money, they're traveling on our roads, and this puts more of the burden on that rather than on our people that are paying property taxes, which I think is a great thing. And I will say that when it's funny how, I don't know, I'm always appreciative of a good road because I'm a rural farm boy that I have to travel miles to get to town, and a good road is always a good thing. And I tell you, this politics is a tough business because you want to be a people pleaser, you want to try to please people, but that's just something that is just not able to do. I asked you about Ojibwe Road, and I said, boy, I bet you didn't get any complaints at all about after the road was done. No, Tim says, I'm sorry to tell you that still some people not happy. You're never going to please everybody. We're trying to do the best we can, and I just want to say kudos to you and your staff. And I feel really good if by chance I don't get reelected next year. I would feel like I'm leaving a good legacy of great roads down in District 1, which is, I think, a good thing. So anyway, that's all for now.
Madam Chair, may I speak?
Please do.
Thank you. Oh, thank you for letting me speak, Paul. For somebody just coming new on board, and before I even got into this office, I was already involved in the little project up in Cross Lake that'll be done next year on the roundabout that's going in there. And it was interesting to be on the other side of this issue a little bit and come in and see that we took an issue there that was, not everybody was pleased about it at first, if you'd showed up at the first meeting, but by working together with the Cross Lakers, working together with the city, working together with the Corps of Engineers, we are going to have one heck of a beautiful project up there next year. It'll be good for pedestrians, it'll be good for the city. It's going to be awesome, and it's been a pleasure to work with you over the last year. Hopefully we'll work next year together this well.
Well, I wasn't going to go around the horn, and I want to reiterate, it's my staff. I'm just the pretty face. They do all the hard work.
But if we have a problem, we come to you.
Pretty?
I know my mother's watching, so she's probably laughing
Are we going
and
to get
pointing.
to a blush here now, or what?
Laughing and pointing at the computer screen. Love you, Mom. So, just gonna back up. I want to just Wayne Dosh, 25 years, gonna hit 25 this year. Rob Hall, 25 years, and Ann Dosh, not far behind. And so a lot of dedicated knowledge. Wayne, those bridges are his children, and he treats them that way. He knows everything about them, and much appreciated his knowledge that he brings to the 85 bridges that we have here in Crow Wing County. I just want to let you know that we don't take the sales tax for granted. We are catching up, but we're not there yet. We're still on the path to eliminating our deferments. What I mean by that is the road is in bad shape and we can't afford to fix it, and we kick it down the road until we can afford it. We're still catching up on that. I want to let you know that we're planning on how to spend it. We're taking the next step, so that right now the comprehensive plan is going on for the county. There is a transportation section, but in these comprehensive plans, it's more high-level thinking. And over the next year, I'll be embarking on a long-range transportation plan that gets a layer down farther, to plan out the next 10 years or more, kind of more specific things that are identified following the comprehensive plan. And then, of course, the 5-year plan is always there too. I consider that an execution plan. So this is what how we're gonna spend it and what we're gonna do. The 10-year long-range plan, we're gonna embark on this project next year and start to plan for how we're gonna utilize that sales tax that you have authorized till 2040. And so we want to have an understanding of where the priorities are. We're going to have our first meeting on Thursday to kind of talk about that and try to get the staff aligned around a common goals of the transportation plan. And just quickly about the Cross Lake, I did go to the Cross Lake City Council meeting last night. I presented them with the cost share policy, which outlines our preliminary cost participation, and then also some maintenance and operation responsibilities. They accepted that draft. We talked about a few things, and we're going to continue to present that to them and see what their comments are, and eventually it'll come back to both the council and the full board for official consideration. Okay, any other questions or comments about road construction or anything having to do with the highway department? Because I have one more item for you.
Okay.
The next item I have for you is in response to an email that I received yesterday from the traffic engineer from MnDOT. Recently, is this come in already? Oh, wow. Rob Hall works fast. Did he send you this?
He did.
Excellent. So I got a call yesterday. This is how, I'm thinking about it and he's already drafting a letter. So MnDOT our traffic engineer approached me yesterday via email saying, hey, I'm going to apply for some federal money in 2029 for an intersection improvement at State Highway 6 and County Road 11. This is the one that travels from basically Pequot Lakes 11 all the way over to Highway 6, and people take that either to the county line to the east or down to Crosby. It is one of our east-west corridors, and over the last couple of years, there's been a couple fatalities there that we've worked with Doug on. We've gotten some lights installed with some partnership with MnDOT, some overhead lighting to raise awareness there. So they're looking for some support for a grant application. The reason why I couldn't get it on the board agenda is I just got it yesterday, and they need the letter by Friday. So I call that on-time engineering. And so we want to be responsive, and I'm asking that you authorize me to write a letter. I asked him this morning to put together a draft with some of the bullet points and authorize us to send that letter to MnDOT, supporting their application for federal funds. I asked Rob, because most recently, the intersection just south of there, Highway 6 and CSAH 30, this is the one that goes to the Cuyuna, if you take 31. That recently had a serious crash, and I asked Rob to include it in this draft, mention that we are also interested in pursuing or looking at ways to improve that intersection. They're both, one is a fatality, or one or two, and the other one had a serious crash recently. And we just want to kill two birds with one stone by offering our support for their effort to find money to improve those. If they're successful, because they have the junction on both sides of the road, county road connection, we would have cost implications through the MnDOT partnership, their cost participation policy. So they are seeking money to improve these, but we'd also then have some skin in the game because we have two legs that contribute. So first to get the money, and then we'll figure out the agreements and those kind of things. And I'm asking for your authorization to finalize this letter and send it into MnDOT.
Madam Chair, if there's no discussion, I would make the motion to approve sending this letter of support with MnDOT for this grant.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Barros, second by Commissioner Coring. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, County Sheriff.
Just a few things, Commissioners. It's amazing we get anything done in November because it's deer hunting season, so we hardly have anybody I'm always working during deer hunting season. I think next time we hire, we need to say anybody that deer hunts need not apply.
That'll
Got to have some people around here to do the actual work, right? We had a productive day today. We had 2 people start. We finally hired the emergency manager director, Clayton Barg. He comes with a plethora of experience from law enforcement and from the military. In the military, he was an operations planner, so he's going to be a perfect fit for us here, and we're excited to have him. We're thankful to have him, and we're grateful that nothing happened over the summer where we really could have used him. But luckily you had me. I would have been able to step up to the plate.
Of course,
Yes. And also we had a deputy that started today, and her name is Morgan, and she is very excited. It's fun to see the excitement in the office with these younger officers and deputies, and I know that she'll do a great job for us as well. We also had a couple additions to the sheriff's office. We had 2 new babies from 2 different of our 2 different folks that work for us, and we're excited to have those little bambinos being paraded around the office as well as they continue to grow up with us. So that's
Madam Chair, if I might ask, is that part of your succession planning?
That is part of the succession planning for sure.
I want to be clear.
We got to start real young. Yeah, great folks. Currently, too, we're working on all those legislative changes that happened over this last year. We're finally getting those vetted out, so we have a lot of training coming up. A critical issues series is what we call it, or what the state's calling it. So we'll be doing a lot of training on all those changes that happen legislatively and see how it affects us and how it changes our delivery of service. We have Thanksgiving coming up, and we're going to be part of some community events, feeding people and delivering meals, and we're happy to do that because we are thankful for our community and we want to give back to wherever we can. Speaking of thankful, we're also thankful for you guys as well, and we thank you for your partnership with us and your trust in me to lead the sheriff's office. And I'm continually working on those struggling points, the jail, for instance. I'm continually working on that. I don't see that as a crisis at this point. I see this as an opportunity. And I have a lot of connections. I plan on using all those connections and all those favors. And this is just a hiccup. So with that, I'll entertain any questions that you might have. And
Okay, Paul, what's your question?
No, I guess I don't really have a question. I just want to say that, Eric, the sheriff, and his chief deputy, who I think is doing an excellent job. I'm amazed that you are sitting through a lot of our meetings are really, at times, they're kind of boring or I'm sorry, Tim Holt.
Just when Chris Pence is up.
But I'm happy that you're sitting through budget committee meetings and you're sitting through meetings so that in our partnership together, what we have to deal with. In the past, other sheriffs, not necessarily sitting in our meetings all the way through the meetings, come for their issue, but I think it's good for you to see that we are doing everything from A to Z. And you might think that, it's just our problems. No, there's a lot of problems that we have to deal with here. So I appreciate you guys sitting through our meetings and just kind of learning the whole operation we're running here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
County Attorney? I see you.
Did he hear you?
Don, are you?
I did. I just couldn't get my mouse to work. Sorry about that.
Not good for an attorney.
Oh, I've never claimed to be very good at technology. Everybody knows that.
Yeah.
I don't have anything for you today, but I certainly can answer any questions you may have.
Nope.
Thanks, Don.
Thank you, Don.
Have a great day,
good day.
everybody.
County Administrator.
Madam Chair, members of the board, yesterday we did hold a senior management team meeting. Our primary topic was about recruitment. And so that continues to be the thing that keeps us all awake at night, is trying to make sure that we have the high-quality staff, that we have a reputation for hiring, and it matters. You see it in this room. It matters. And so we don't want to compromise on our standards, and I would argue, have not compromised on our standards. But what that means is, probably 80% of the people at any given point in time aren't looking for a job. And we have to figure out creative ways to slide our posting under their nose. So if you're an engineer, for instance, and you're not looking for a job, how do we reach engineers? Specifically, engineers. And I remember a day and time when we used to be able to put an ad in the dispatch, and that was sufficient for recruitment. And lots of stuff has changed today. In fact, I moderated a forum on that very topic. We've had to become much more aggressive in our active recruitment efforts, and placing an ad is passive recruitment, but now we're at job fairs. And so there's an investment we make in hiring, and it is a greater investment today than it has been in the recent past. I don't see that ending anytime soon, so I think we are sharpening our saw and getting good at it, and that's what we're going to continue to try to do. Sheriff Klang and I gave an update to the senior management team on the Cass County Jail contract and what are the implications of that for the whole team. We do view that team as a team, and I appreciate Sheriff Klang's participation in that as well. And that team comes together to solve some of our biggest problems, and they do a good job at it. We just went through a similar process on jail health and involved folks from across the organization in coming up with a better solution than any of us might have come up with on our own. Many hands make light work, my dad used to tell me, and I think that's still true today. We also talked about part-time employees. In this recruitment market, there really isn't a part-time employee anymore. We have seasonal employees, so college kids sometimes, or people that are snowbirds and want to work here during the summer. We do a fair amount of seasonal work like that with watercraft inspectors, but we really don't have part-time employees anymore. So we talked about how that recruitment really isn't, it's just not there. We can't find people that want to work part-time. Then we talked about our employee engagement survey. That has just ended, so we will be seeing results from that shortly. I'll share that with you when I get them. And then we talked about multi-factor authentication and whether or not we're getting any feedback. What it really means is cybersecurity in this day and age. You can't access our network unless you have something and know something. And have something is your password. I have that. Nobody else has that. Something I know might be the text code, and you've seen this. You have to text a code to your phone to sign in to get past our security networks. As bad actors become better and better at trying to climb over the security measures, new security measures will continue to come as we try to protect our systems from things like ransomware, malware, spam, all of those kinds of things that just interfere with our productivity, frankly. And so we try to be very cautious. I say it that way because I can't give any guarantees in this day and age. You have lots of bad actors doing lots of bad things. So we do our best to keep up. Knock on wood, have not had any significant cybersecurity issues, and we're going to try to keep it that way. Happy to answer questions about that or anything else related to county government.
Madam Chair, I know I've had a lot to say today, as always, but I just feel compelled. After Tim Bray, we talk about employees. I want to also recognize Therese. How many years here?
33?
33 years. I'll tell you what, we have a lot. And the reason why that makes me think about that is our employees, like Therese, who are doing an excellent job, they're the front line of this operation. And if anybody's been watching, you know, Doug Kern, you've brought up the elections. If you've watched here just last week, there was fentanyl that was sent, powdered fentanyl that was sent to a couple of election offices. So these people are dealing with a lot of crap as far as I'm concerned. And when somebody comes to the polling place and is treating our employees or our election judges in the wrong way, if I ever find out about it, they're gonna hear it from me. That's just unacceptable. People think they have the right to come here and talk smack to the employees that work here, and that isn't the way it works. If they want to come here and talk to us, even the commissioners in a nice way, I think you're going to get a long ways. But if people are going to treat our employees with disrespect, that isn't going to happen. And I know I'm speaking for the entire county board. But I will say that this election, and I think this next election is going to be, I think it's going to be kind of ugly. I really do. And I'm concerned about some crazy people doing some crazy things. And I just hope that the public treats our employees and our election judges with respect as we move forward. And I guess that's all I've got to say. I just know that our people normally can't really speak, you know, talk back to somebody. I can, and the rest of us can, and we will, if somebody's going to be talking that way. So anyway, I'm trying to be kinder and gentler, believe me. So. Anyway.
It's not working.
I know it's not. I know it. All right, that's all I've got to say on that one.
I guess so. Madam Chair, if there's nothing else, I have 8 items yet that I would like to put on the agenda. Number 1 is November 15th, and this is, you know, for anyone that's planning a trip in the near future, is National Clean Out Your Refrigerator Day. That's tomorrow. So get that refrigerator cleaned out. But more importantly is on the 17th, which is Friday, is National Take a Hike Day. So if anybody's planning a particular trip coming up in the near future, take a hike, okay? On November 18th is National Adoption Day. We should all be aware of that. We know at Community Services, we're looking for families that are willing to adopt. On the 24th, this is interesting, which is, we all know, is the day after Thanksgiving this year. That's Black Friday, when we're all encouraged to go out and shop. But in addition, it's National Don't Buy Anything Day, which is kind of an oxymoron. But anyway, it's also National Native American Day, so we should remember our Native friends who came before us. And 2 additional things on November 30th is National Computer Security Day, which Administrator Houle just brought to our attention. And I know Jason over there does a great job, and his staff. I know they've come in early in the morning to address an issue here not too long ago when they were actually on vacation to make sure that we were secure in our computer system. On the 30th is also National Meth Awareness Day. And we know the problem that we have in Crow Wing County with meth. And so let's be aware that Community Services and our Sheriff's Department are working hard on that issue. We do have the opioid settlement that's helping with some of that, but let's just be aware that there is a problem and that we're all in this together to try to solve that problem. Other than that, if there's no other voices?
I have one thing. Madam Chair, I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.